Hi, good morning, everyone. First, you had a nice night rest. And how was the class? Which I hope you're enjoying this section. If you are together, if you are here, I can see I've seen some people here, Dennis, Jamaka, and other people. If you are here, please can you comment? We are just I'm seeing four. So if you are here, let me see a comment from you. Do you have any? Do we have any gray area in yesterday class? I don't think we should have, but if you have any question, you can as well drop your question so that we can discuss about it. Please make a good use of this time in the sense that true, you are not having a task this week, but you have a lot to learn when it comes to JavaScript. You have more than enough to learn. So please take good use of the opportunity. So with that being said, let's jump to what we have. Yesterday we talked about the different data type we have in JavaScript. And we talk about how we can declare variable. Just like I said, we have three means of declaring variable. We have using var, let, and const. And we talked about the differences between the three. But in essence, all as a wrap, we are not using, people have, it already, using var has already been phased out. Sometimes if you use, I think if it's in React, if you use var, it will tell you that you should not use it. I think it will bring a warning. I think so, you use var. So, and you don't really need var unless you are writing DSA or something like that. I want to check if truly that thing can get what. I think most of my code it's been a long period of time that I need to use var. I hope we are all together because I'm still seeing my screen is not it's still not yet loaded. But I believe you can all hear me. I can't see this. Yeah. So with that being said, let me try to use var and let me see. But we don't really use var again. When you use var, but it's not showing any error I can see here. But nevertheless, var, instead of using var, you can use let or const. You can use let or const. We are still going to talk about why we are not going to be using var when we talk about scoping, or when we talk about what's the name of this, some of the aspects of JavaScript. We'll have a better idea why we don't need to use var. But one good thing, one reason I mentioned yesterday was that it pollutes the global space. It pollutes the global space. For example, if you give var x equals to 1, and maybe in your block scope, or you use var let x equals to 1, if you try to check it outside, it is going to be your S is going to be 1. And having a global scope is another issue. Even if you put it inside a block scope, it's still going to have a global scope. So I hope that's a quick recap of what we did yesterday. Like I said, we'll be using the W3 school. So what we have for this week is just the concepts, the syntax, and principle, which we have discussed. But I believe you can still, sorry for my screen. So I believe we can still discuss something better. We have a lot of things to do. Today I want to talk about function. I want to talk about parameters, the rest operator, and the spread operator. I want to talk about is it 3 or 4 today. Using using functions is all what you are going to be writing. You are going to be writing a lot of function. Please, if you can hear me, can you just comment in the chat box? I can't see the chat loading, and I can't see my own video loading also. Please, if you can hear me, can you comment in the chat box? I'm not seeing any comments. So if you can hear me, please let me know if you can hear me. So yesterday we talked about so if you are following this sequence, we have talked about let's and this operator. Okay, thank you, Akambi. So now I think okay, thank you. So let's talk about we can follow this this W3 to get a lot of things. We talk about let's const and var yesterday. Thank you, everyone. So now we have this assignment operator. You know, when you use equal sign, it means it's equal sign. Like when you say 2 equals to x, let x equals to 1. But what we use it for in JavaScript is an assignment. We use it to assign something. Like let's say, let my class rep to be Chiamaka. So that means if I'm writing in JavaScript, let Chiamaka equals class rep. So that equal to single equal to, it means that what I've assigned class rep to Chiamaka. So that's how it works. We also have the addition operator, just like we know. We have the subtraction. We also have multiplication. Now, we have exponential, just like we know. If I try to open, I believe I should use my console. Now we already have we know we have addition, subtraction, multiplication, blah blah blah, all that things. Don't let me use it. You can be very massive. So I'm having this here. Now we already have the addition and subtraction stuff. Mostly there are still better ways. If you say 2 plus a day, because if you are adding a string to a string, it will give you the result is going to be a string. We still talk about that, but that's how it works. So there is addition and there is subtraction. 2 minus 8 is minus 6, and there is exponential. When I say 5 exponential, if I say if you do double multiplication 2, that will be equals to 25. So that's how you can write math.power, then 5. 5 is what number, then what exponential 2 to give you 25. So instead of writing this, you can just write this 5 times multiply in 2 places, then to give you exponential. So I hope that is clear. Modulus, for example, now when we talk about function, we are going to try to use modulus. Modulus is the remainder. You know, when you say 4 modulus 2, 4 modulus 2 is 4 divided by 2, doesn't have any remainder. So the modulus is there. So if you want to check if a number is modulus, if you want to check if a number is an even number, you can use modulus. You know, any number divided by 2 must not have any remainder if it's going to be if it's going to be an even number. So now if you are told to write a function, we'll talk about a function now very soon. If you are told to write a function that determines if a number is an even number, you know the number must be divisible by 2 without any remainder. And for you to know if a number is divisible by 2 without any remainder, you can use modulus. If I say 5 modulus 2 now, it's have a remainder. The remainder is 1. So modulus 3 is what? The remainder is 2. So this is this one way. So we'll talk about how to write it as a function when we get there. So we also have increments. Increments, when you want to increment something, you are going to be using plus plus. When I say 4 plus plus here, suppose you have let's say let A equals to 6. Now if I say A plus plus now, maybe because it's not here. But if I say let A let's say let B equals to 3. And I come here now and say B plus plus here. So if I say B now, so our B now is what? Is 4. So this is, we only say plus plus. If I now say B minus minus, so then now say what's our B? Our B now is 3. If I say B minus minus, so our B, what's our B now? Our B now is 2. So our B now is 2. So I believe that is clear. So we have increment and decrement there. When we have addition, 2 addition sign is increment, while 2 subtraction sign is what? Decrement. So, and we also have this assignment operator. Instead of you to say, for example, you say let x, like if you want to keep it, let x equals to 5. Then you say this you can say x equals to x plus 5. Now we already know that our x now is 10. But instead of writing that, we can say s plus or equals to 5. So it's going to what? It's going to write, it's going to be, instead of writing s equals to x plus 5, writing it like this is still the same thing. So that one is named down. So you can read more about this here. Yes, addition also can also be used for a concatenation, like when you are adding, if you add a number to a string to give you a string. I can still talk about that later. So we have this comparison method. We have this comparison method. I would like to close. So we have this comparison method. So we have comparison method, not just like we said yesterday, equal to and double equal to. Like I said yesterday, double equal to the double equal to, we only consider if it's the type. The number. It's only consider the value. So it's only consider the value. Like 5 equals a string. The value here now is this. When I say 5 equals 5 here, it's only consider the type. The value. But when you say 5 equals this, it will be false because to consider the type here and the value. The value here is 5, but the data type here is for this one is a string, and data type for this one is a number. So that will give us a false. So I think that's all. We also have the ternary operation. Ternary operation, let's talk about that, because for example, now you are going to be writing a lot of if and else statements, and that's what it also serves. We can use ternary operation. For example, now if I say for example, I want to do 2 conditions, like if our A equals to, how do I put it? If something is true, let's say, for example, now let's write this block of code. Let's say let x equals to true. For example, I'm writing this now, and I come here. If I say if x is equals to true, that means this one means that if this case is true, what should you do? You should say hello. This is this x. This is an x. This is an x, or this is an x. That means that if this x is equal to true, it should just do hello, or that means s. If this is not true, then it should just say I. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The reason why it's like that because we can't declare this. But this is what I'm saying. Let me just write it. Okay, let's write if a statement now. Let's say if x equals to 2. Let's come here and write our if statement first. Let's say let x should be equals to 2. So we're now say here now. Now, when we do if x like this, there are different ways you can write. You can say if x equals to 2, but this is just really for a beginner, because this inside this if statement, it will evaluate it to either true or false. So we don't need to put this. It's only mean that if this is equals to true, you should write. You can write this out if a statement is. I think we have not written something like that. We are still going to come to that. That will be console.log. Let's say hello. Now, if it's not that, then we say S. That would be console.log. Console.log. I have not checked the question. I'll check now. The declaration of X. Okay, maybe we can't declare the 2 here. I can copy. Let me just copy my code like this. let's say let y equals to 2. I can run this like this. Now let me, if y is this. Now you can see now we are having a low. 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 So this is how it works. So it will, if this one is true, it will evaluate this, and if it is false, it will evaluate the other one. Now, if this block of code I've written here, how do we write it in ternary operator? Now, when it is in ternary operator, it is going to be like this. If our question mark will stand for true, while our double colon will stand for false. So, for example, now what I've written here, I can say if our y is true, we should do console log hello. Now this one will evaluate if our y is true. Else, if it's not true, you should just say console log I. So it's what I've written here. It seems like what I've written here. So this is what it is. This look nice and more readable, and especially if you are writing in React, you are going to be doing conditional statements or conditional registry. So we are going to be using something like this. So you are still having, if I say let our y, sorry, I can't declare y, just like we have, but let our y should be equal to false now. So now, this one will now evaluate to I. So now if I come here now, and paste it again, you can see now this one now is now equal to I because it is what? It is now false. So I hope that is clear. Please, if you have any question, that currently we are here now, please ask it. I don't know why I'm not seeing what I'm even teaching in my own live stream. But if you have any question now, you can ask, and let's get it trashed out before we move to function. So let's talk about if that is clear. We have just like greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. We also have this not equal to or not equal type also. So with that being said, let's move to function. Almost every part of your code is JavaScript. You are going to be writing function. You are going to be writing function. Almost you can't run away from function. So you just also have to try and understand how it works basically. So function is just a block of code. When you just write a code to perform a certain task. For example, now, suppose I want to add 2 numbers. I can always add 2 plus 2, 4, 8 plus 8. But it will become tedious if I want to add like 500 numbers. If I ask anyone here now, there are 5 plus 2 plus 3 plus 8 plus 10. I believe it will take you time to process actually. But if you have written a code, you have written a function, you don't need to, the function will just run. The function will just run without you wasting your time. So now that's what we mean by a function. Function is a block of code designed to perform a particular task. Now we have function declaration and execution, which means that when we invoke the function, there's how we are going to write the function, and there's how we are going to execute it. We have different type of function, which maybe we can still talk about it, but we'll talk about how we can write a function. Function, for you to write a function, it has a keyword called function. For you to write it, one way of writing it is writing a keyword called function. Java function is defined with the function keyword followed by a name, followed by a parenthesis. The function can contain letter, digit, underscore, and $sign. The parenthesis may include blah blah blah. So now let's just write it. And for example, I think I should open my what's the name of this Okay, I can decide to use code pen. I think code pen is easier. Let me use code pen. It's easier because we are not doing a lot of things. We are not writing CSS. So let me use code pen. So you just have to know function. It took me when I was learning it, especially I was using Code Academy. Yeah, I think it's Code Academy. It took me a long period of time to understand some kind of business, and it's normal. Something that took me 1 month or two days might only take you 10 seconds. It's normal. So you just don't need to be frightened then. I wasn't that frightened, but it took me a very long period of time to understand the concept of and I wasn't actually watching video. I only read the text, which is not my actual, which wasn't my strength then. So do you have any question? I'm not seeing charts. I don't know if it's normal. I think I should open my YouTube on my system. I'm not seeing my chat on here, which is quite funny. And I believe, yeah, I'm sharing my screen and you can also see me. So I have to sign. I'm already signing. So I believe okay. So I will try to see if I can see. Okay, because I'm not signed. Okay, I can see it here. Okay, nobody. Okay, you are not. Nobody's saying anything. Okay, is it clear then? Because I'm not seeing any question. I'm not seeing. Okay, you are with me. Okay, thank you. Now we want to talk about function by having the function keyword, having the function name, parentheses, and the curly braces. So let me write it down. You said the first one is what? Having function key. This is the keyword. You can't use this keyword in JavaScript. Keyword, any keyword you can use, you write function. The next one is the function name. The function. The other one is, apart from that, we also have parentheses, if I'm correct. And apart from that, we have what curly braces. These are ways of declaring a function. So if I come in and say function, this is the keyword function. The name of the function, add numbers. That's the name of the function. Maybe you want to write add numbers. Then we say it's having a parenthesis. This is parenthesis here, and it's having a curly braces. Now we have just written a function like this. Okay, thank you, Esther. So we have written a function like this. Now, what do we want the function to do? We want the function to add two numbers. Suppose I want to add 2 plus 2. So I can just say the function should add 2 plus 2. There's another one important thing now, okay, let's go there. Let's continue. Now I want you to add 2 numbers and want to save it in our console. Let's say that, for example, I want to add 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3. This will actually work. Now, how do you call this function? You can see now in my console, there's nothing here. In my console, there's nothing here. So in my console, there's nothing here. So now it's not bringing anything. We're expecting it to display 5, but nothing is happening here. Why? Because when we declare a function, we have to invoke it. There's even between writing a function and also invoking it. If I go to this place I have here, you can see now we have been taught how to write a function now. Now, how do we invoke it? The code inside this function will execute when something is invoked. That means, when do we call the function? That means, when would we call the function? There are different ways we can call the function. In your phone now, if you press a button like submit, that means now you have triggered something, you have triggered an action. So there is a way of doing it now. So how do we call the function? Or how do we allow the function to run? Or how do we call the function? Now, this is how we call the function. Now, the way we call the function is we are going to call the name and the parentheses. We are going to, the name of this function here is add number. So we are going to use add number like this. Now, we are going to call it like this. We are going to call it like, so by this now, we have called the function. So this is what we call function invocation, or when you say you call the function, you can see now it has executed and tell us what our answer is 5. Now, this one doesn't look reusable. Suppose I want to add 10 again. So every time I want to come, I have to come here now and change 10. So now this will work again. If I run this now, it's now giving 13. Suppose I want to add 100 plus 100, I have to come back here and say 100 plus 30. Now this thing doesn't look reusable. Anytime I want to write it, I have to start changing a lot of things inside. Suppose I want to add 300 numbers. Suppose I want to add 300 numbers. I have to come here and start writing blah 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 blah. I have to start writing plus this, plus 3, plus this. This doesn't look like it has solved our problem because we are having more problem. Because we are having what? We are having more problem. This doesn't solve our issue. Now then we have to find a way of making this reusable that anybody can just come and just input number and to give you the answer. Now that leads us to what we call parameters. What will lead us to what? Parameter. Now, what do you mean by parameter? Parameter are something you put here as an argument. When you put anything you put here, is what we call parameter. Now, suppose I'm saying, because assuming we want to add 2 numbers, we can say A, comma B. Let the number be A, let the first number be A, and let the second number be B. And when you come here now, you say you should what? Add A plus B. So that means when you are now calling, if you are calling this function, you can say it's saying now not a number because we don't have any value here. Now you can see now we have put 2 parameters here. So when we want to call it, we just put that value here. Now let me say console.log A, so we can see what A is and what our B is. Console.log A. Sorry, you have to write it the same thing. It's JavaScript is case sensitive. So if you are writing capital letter A and small letter A, there are 2 different things entirely. So if I say console.log B now. Now when I want to invoke it, you can see now we are having parentheses. It is inside this space we are going to put in the value. I'm going to clear this now. Now let me say the first number is 5 and the second number is 10. Now we are saying if this one, you can see now our first console log is what? The first parameter here is 5. You can see here is 5 and it is true, it is 5. Why the second parameter here is what? Is 10. Why this one here is 10. So that is how it works. So suppose now you can call it separate and suppose I want to add different number, but for this our work, it's just only limited to 2 numbers. There are different ways you can do to be able to add a lot of numbers. So now if I copy this one now and I come here and say 15 plus 10, you just need to invoke the function and write the parameter. If I come here and paste again now, all of them will work. All of them will work as expected. So now if I clear this now and I allow you to run again, you can see now we are having this. Because this is a large number. So we are having, if I clear it again now, so we are having, so you can see now we are having this. So now you can see now anybody can just come here, just invoke the function and just put the value that you want to add. So this is just a simpler way of creating a function and invoking a function. So we have the parameters. We have the parameters and we have now there's something we call return. Because we are console logging this is why we are having here. If I didn't put console.log here, now this function will return undefined. Just like there's supposed not to be error. But now for you to be able to get the value of like now, what we want this function to do is just to return the addition of two numbers. So we can come here and say, let sum be equals to what? A plus B. But what do we want this work? What do we want this function? What do we want it to do? Is just to return the sum of the two numbers. So we can say this return will be when you invoke this function, what is going to return, what is going to bring out for you. We want it to what? To bring out the sum. So that will be return sum, because we want to know the sum of the two numbers. So anytime we invoke this, it's going to give us something like this. Now we are not seeing this because we are not there's no console. So we can just come here and say, for us to be able to see this, that means for us to be able to see, you can say console the log this now. So now this one will work as we expected now. You can see now, this one will work now. Because if I want it to print inside for example, now I'll be doing some kind of things. Don't worry about it. When we reach DOM, I'm going to explain better. Suppose I'm giving this P. I'm giving an attribute of let's say P. P. Now if I come here now and say document dot get elements by ID. The ID here is P. Let's say dot how do I call it? Inner HTML. Let's use inner HTML. Now let's say let x should be equal to this. Should be equal to document.get element by ID. Now you can now assign whatever we get from this function. You can now assign okay, let's leave that here. We can now assign any element that we get here. We can now come here and say, we can now, because against the other class, we usually call function a first class. Why is function a first class? Please try and read about it. I believe some of you know about some little about it. So why is function a first class? Read about it and also discuss about it. Now I want this one to be here, so I can just come here and say, since I'm adding this now, I can assign it. Let's say you can now say x. This is our x. This is our x now. The elements this one. We are going to talk more about it. Dot inner HTML. Dot inner HTML should be equals to. Let's come here. Yeah. Should be equals to this now. So if this one clear now, you can see now it's now bringing 125 in our screen. So that's the return value, because we are using return. Return is what this function, when it executes, what is going to bring. So if I turn this one to 1150, this value is going to change here. This value is going to change here. That's what the reason why it's doing that. We are going to talk more about it, because we said JavaScript can make changes, as I've explained earlier. JavaScript can make changes in your, what do you call it? Can make changes in your CSS, and it can also make changes in your HTML. So that's why we are having this. First, suppose now I change this one to H1 like this. You can see now it will be bolder, and it will be like normal H1 you usually see. You can see now it's very bold. So we are going to talk about DOM, how we can manipulate DOM later. But I want you to understand the basics of function declaration and function invocation. Now, since we have talked about function invocation now, if for example now somebody is to tell you that write a function that check if a number is an even number. If it is an even number, it should return true. If it's not an even number, it should return false. So let's write the function now. So now, what's the function? What we want to do is I want to check if a number is even. So we have to start with our function declaration. The function. What will I check even? Let's call it a check even. Then we are going to have this parentheses as we have discussed, and we are going to have these curly braces. So what do we want to check? The number. So the number will be added here. Let's say the number. So we can just come here and say, we have to check if the number, that means I talked about modulus then. If the number is divided, if the number divided by 2, and if its return is 0, that means if you divide the number by 2 and the return is 0, that means it doesn't have any remainder. For example, if you divide 152 divided by 2, the remainder is 0, so it should return true. It should return true like this. If you divide this and it's this, it should return true. You can also come here S, return false. But as we have been taught earlier that Boolean they have two values. They can either be true or false. So if this thing is not true, definitely it's going to be false. So we don't need to write this now. We don't need to write this now. So I can use this. I can, instead of using this, I can come here now and use this thing now. So it's going to tell us. Now, if you call check even now, and I write a number, the number, let's say it's 12. What do we have? Let's see what we have here. So now, our 12 is what? It's even number. That means it's true. Let me put 113. Let's see what we have. Is false. Why? Okay. Now, if number divided by 2 is this, it should return true. Then, or it should return false. I think we don't really need that here. But now it's now returning false because or you can just do the normal if statement. So now if it's 130, 130 look like even number. So I think that should be true. So this is how we write a function. I hope everyone can see my screen. I can zoom it a bit now. So so that's how we write a function. So that will take us. We have a lot of things to talk. We talk about how you return a function. The white function equals to write what? Reusable code. So you can use it several times. So if you want to invoke it, I've explained it. You just need to call it. We also have local variable. Variables within a JavaScript function becomes local variable. Yes. Now, for example, here now, we can see sum. If I console log sum here, that means like we are saying here. We talked yesterday that we have block scope and global scope. Now, what is inside here is the block scope. So now, this is just only having this function scope. Is within this function that you can access this thing. If I do console.log sum here, you will not see anything because sum here is outside. It's outside. It's not this sum here. We are using let, so we only have this block scope. It will throw error. So if I check my console now, it should throw an error. You can see it's telling me sum is not defined. So I'll be taking question now so that I can see. Okay. People are asking if there's a task. Well, though someone has judged it yesterday that we don't need a task. So, and today is Thursday. So there's no need of, don't worry, you have enough tasks next week. You have enough tasks next week. I know everyone is used to task. So it's good. It's good that you're used to tasks, which we are used to grading. So by next week, we are going to be rolling out several tasks. And if it is not enough, let me know personally. I'll find a way to add more to it. So that's how function is being called. You can try and work on it. Now, I want to talk about like I said earlier. I said I'm going to talk about spread operator and rest operator. What do you mean by spread operator and what do you mean by rest operator? Now, for example, imagine this function here. This function here can only perform two things, can only add two numbers. What we have the third number, the fourth number, the fifth number, the sixth, up to 1,000. It's not going to add it. But now we must be able to do it in the sense that anybody can add any number. They can add any number. They can have 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. They can have like 5 parameters to work. It can have like 4 or 5 parameters and it will work. That is how it's supposed to be. We don't need to limit it to 2 numbers. Now, for us to be able to talk about spread operator, now spread operator is like this now. Now, suppose we are having, let me comment out some things. I can comment out this. Okay. Okay, it's not necessary now. Now, suppose we are having this. Okay, I just want to remove all this console. I want to remove the console, and I'll just comment it out at least. If I'm not deleting it, I can just comment it out. Now, what do you mean by spread rest operator? Let's start with rest. Rest operator. You'll be needing it, rest operator. Now, if I say, now for example, now if I have five mangoes, and I said Chiamaka should take one, and Tunji should also take one. Then I said the rest of you should share the remaining one. And then definitely by sharing, Chiamaka will take one, Tunji will take one. Then the other remaining mangoes, even if it's 1,000, is going to be shared by the remaining people. So for example, now if you have infinite number and we use rest, like for example, now I said one, then let me say I want to read, let's say 1, 2, then I said the remaining is 2, from 3 to 10,000. So now if I'm passing that as an argument, then our first argument is 1, the second one is 2, then the last one is what? Is 3 to 10,000. So that's meant by rest. That's by rest operator. For example, now we are saying I'm having A, B. Now I now said for you to use rest, you have to put something like this. So we are going to be having parameters like this. As we are having parameters C, D, E, and F. Okay, suppose we are having, we're only having this A, B, C, and this. Then the remaining one, let's say rest. Now, yeah, it has to be 3 dots. It has to be 3 dots. If you want to use rest, it has to be 3 dots. And it's not necessary to be rest. It can be Chiamaka like this. It's not necessary it's going to be rest, but it has to, for you to be able to use it, you have to be using these 3 dots. Now, if I go here and I say the rest parameter, let's use rest operator W3 screw. I can close this. So now, I'm not talking about spread now. I want to talk about rest. This is React. I'm not talking about React now. We call it rest parameter because, yeah, it's a parameter. Okay, this is not exactly what I want. This is not exactly what I want. We are running out of time, so okay, let me just keep explaining. Now, like I said, when we want to use rest operator or rest parameter, we call it parameter because it's a parameter. A here is a parameter, B here is a parameter. So this rest also is also a parameter. So that's why it's been called rest parameter. Now we are having this. That means we are saying that any other thing that's been passed here, it should be the value. So for example, if I want to use come to here and say add number, let me say console.log add number. Okay, console.log, yes, let's say add number. Now, before we are passing 2 parameters. Let's say we are passing more than 1, let's say 1, 2, 2, 50, 45, 68. We are passing all these parameters. You can see now it is more than the number that we initially put before. It's more than them now. Now let's come here for you to understand what we mean by rest operator. Let me comment this out. Let me say console.log A. Console.log A. Sorry, the first parameter, console.log log B, and console.log Chiamaka. So as I've said earlier, it can be anything. It can be rest. You can, but what's the conventional way of writing it is by putting rest. Now, if I console log this, now let's see what we are going to be having. It is going to come in form of add number is not. Okay, I'm using capital letter here and I'm using small letter here. So I have to change it. So now if I do, I have to copy this now and paste it here. I'm seeing, let me see if I can put it side by side. Okay, now it's coming as it's coming side by side now. No, now let me just do like this now. You can see now. Now when I put this one there as something like this now, it's now coming here as an array. So when you use a spread operator, it will come. If you console log it to come as an array. So you can see now the first one is A. Let's say, let me just put something like this A. Let's say this B. If you come here and let's say this B, and I can come here, this is the rest. Now if I clear this now, you can see now it's saying that this A, this what B. So our A here is 1, our B here is what 2. Now the rest is now what is now return an array. So when you are using a rest operator, it will convert all those values, the remaining value, to an array of numbers. It will convert it to an array of number. So now, suppose now we want to add numbers. Now let's come to our additional function. How can we use it now? Since we know that since we know that someone can add as many numbers as possible, the person can add as many numbers as possible. So now, for example, now, so we don't need to write A because we know the person can write any number as possible. So we just want to take all the numbers that the person writes. So now, all the number the person writes is now, we can see here now. Okay, now I will do now. I did not console log anything. Let me now console the log. I'll be using rest instead of JavaScript so that it won't. So I will now be using console log rest now. If I console log this rest now. Now, you can see now it's bringing all the numbers together. 1, 2 is bringing now. So now, then if the person wish to, if the person like you can write 100 number, 500 number, it will still bring it out as this. So now we are taking all the arguments now. So now with taking all the arguments, we can do something like this that they did here. Now, if you want to add a number, here now, I don't know. But we have not talked about loop, but we can talk something like that. Now, for example, what they use here now, there's 4 of 4 in. There's 4 of 4 in, but we are going to try something like that. Now, we always have loop like this. That means if you have an array and you want to check through all the objects in it, so that would, for example, okay, now this is the rest now. I don't want to stress us. So this is what we have as the rest. This is what we have as the rest. Now let's assume that we need to add all the numbers together. It's very simple. There are different ways you can do it now. If I say our rest here dot let's say map, for example. If I say map now, for example, now a map takes in a callback function like this. Now let me say console log I here. Then this one, it will not give me each number. It will not give me each number here. We can see now it's giving me each number. It's not giving me each number here as it's not returning each number. It's mapping through. But there are other ways we can do it. So we can talk about that when we talk about loop. But this is how rest operator. This is how it works. And we also have what we call spread operator. I want you to read about it. I want you to read about it because it's the opposite of rest. If you think about it, our rest operator converts an argument, a list of arguments. It's converted to an array. So if you say it's doing it oppositely, that means that one, our spread operator will convert our array of items to what? To a list of an item. So that's that. So please, as against, okay, we're having a class. What is Friday? Okay, we're having a class in the morning. So try to read about spread operator on your own. If you have any challenge as regards that, so you can definitely send me a message. But it's just the opposite of REST operator. So in our next class, we'll talk about object and some method we can be using on objects, object, string, and array. We'll talk about that. So I'll be waiting for you. If you have any question, please forward it and let's talk about it. Or if there's any gray area you don't understand. Okay, okay. I'm not seeing any questions. So is it that? Okay, it's working here. So so if you have any question, Chamaka, is there any question? So we have 1 minute left. Please, if you have any question, post it. I'm not seeing any question. Is it that it is clear or it's not totally clear? That's why there's no question. Please, what is that greater? Yeah, there are different ways of writing of a function. We talked about that. Also, you can write an arrow function. For example, now you can write an arrow function like this. Instead of writing a function like this one now, it's another way of writing an arrow function. You can call it as a const add number. You're going to give it a name function like this. You are going to assign it. It's going to be a variable. They are going to assign it like this. You are going to assign it to what? Arrow function. This equal to and greater than done by arrow function. Now, because the function has been declared before, we don't need to do it. Let me call add numbers. So they are both the same. They are both the same. They are both the same thing. So that's how we are going to write it. So this one is called arrow function. So called arrow function. You can read about it also. But definitely, we are not going to take you through everything, but we are taking you through the basics that you need. So this is arrow function. You can read more about it and the similarities and the difference between arrow function and the name function. There are different types of functions. Read about it. If you have any question about it, you can. Thank you, Chamaka. We can also go about it. So just read about it. So because we have a lot of things, you can see even in this one, you can see there's a lot of topics here. So, and I believe next class we'll talk about next we'll talk about DOM, and we'll talk about some other things also. But I think this is the basics. But we still have some things that we need to talk about. So I want us to maybe tomorrow we'll talk about objects, array, the different method we can use, and we can also talk about this scoping and script scoping and hoisting. Yeah, those are. We can talk about class also. Those are important topics that we need to talk all over. Why? Before we move into React, because it's very, very important. This REST operator, you'll be using it every place, most every place in your React. For example, now if I open a project here now, I hope we still have time because my custom bot, if I start from my custom button, wow. Okay, you can see now. You can see I'm using REST here. I'm using REST. That means any other thing I pass to it, it should come. I'm using REST here now. And if you see here now, I'm not what I'm doing here is that what I have to use it somewhere. I have to use it somewhere. Let me say my REST. You can see now I'm using it here. This will mean by what? Now I'm not spreading it here. I'm spreading it here. That means it will convert all these objects here. Convert it array, then you should spread it. This is meant by spread operator. When you are using it here, it's meant by what? Spread operator. But when you are passing it as an argument in you are passing it as a parameter, it's going to be what? It's going to be REST. But if you are passing it as a here now, it's going to be a spread. So please read about spread and REST operator. You are going to be needing it. If you have any Yes. Yes. Okay, thank you. One good thing about difference between arrow function and the arrow function and when you use name function is this. Remember we said that always I think I talked about function. I said when all declaration, it's not only variable declaration, function declaration also. Remember we cannot use const before it is being before it is being initialized. We cannot use const if it's not being initialized. So the same way we cannot use it when we use it as a function. So, but now I can call this add number, I can call it here to work, but I can't call this add numbers here before I declare it. So it's just just read about it. It's not what the basics you need is just what I've just explained. Once you read about spread operator, rest operator, and the function in particular. But if you have any question, you can also you can always send it to me, and or we can always talk about it on Slack also. So we also have another class by 10 tomorrow, so we can always discuss it. So it's not that difficult. So what other question do we have? We should be able to round up in the next 1 minute. We should be able to round up now. So if there's no any other question, thank you all for joining the class. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Please make sure you are trying, don't just do the practice, make sure you are doing you are understanding what you are doing, because it will go a long way, especially if you are to pick up React. And if you can take your time to follow the procedure we are using to teach you and read a little bit more, then you can start using React to some extent, be able to do some basics in React. So I think if there's no other question, so thank you all for joining the class. Bye-bye.